I bet there's very little of Terncliff actually modelled. Oh, no, I am completely and utterly wrong. Had to open my mouth there, didn't I? I said it because of from the perspective that we were at, I just assumed it was the cliff and the front of some houses modelled up at the top. Shows how much I know. 30th former Imperial. We'll play triple triad with you. I mean, I'm awful at triple triad, so that's not going to happen. Most of the 7th Legion troops stationed here withdrew before you arrived. I expect they're regrouping somewhere and getting ready to retake the town. Oh, balls. I even heard one of the members of the weapon project is still hiding somewhere in the town. It's you, isn't it? Those Garlean bastards are finally gone. And it's all thanks to you. My husband died defending our town when they first invaded, and for all the years since, it felt like he died for nothing. Now his soul might at last find peace. What do you want with me, lass? Can you tell me about yourself? Me? Not much to tell, and even less worth knowing. These days I go about my daily business trying not to bother anyone. Just another sad old man all alone and dying of... Well, I doubt you'd care even if I told you. Used to call myself a doctor. Not that I was much good at it. When the epidemic came 10 years ago, I was powerless to stop it, despite all my years of experience in fancy medicines. For everyone I saved, I lost a dozen more. Worse than that, I let those Garlean bastards push me around, tell me who to treat and who to leave to their fates. As a result, I only saw to the Imperials while my kith and kin died in agony. Being far to the south of Werlyt, perched atop the cliffs, there was never much reason for anyone to travel here. It looks very nice for somewhere that nobody had any reason to travel to. Being by the sea is all well and good, but we're simply too high above the water to benefit much from it. Gulls and terns don't seem to mind much, though. Most of the townsfolk here are either Huron natives or Ara who found their way here over the years. They all lived side by side, peacefully enough, before the Garleans came and ruined everything. Wasn't much we could do to stop them. Those who fought back were soon put to the sword. Once the invasion was complete, the Imperials started digging down into the rock and built a supply depot for their blasted airships. But experiments were a more recent development. Of course, none of us civilians were privy to what it was they were working on. Expect that'll all come to light now the bastards will all turn and fled with their tails between their legs. We've got you and yours to thank for that, even if it's only a temporary respite. Yeah, for a town that people have left alone, it's very nice. Oops. Ah! Stuck. I assume these barricades are here so that they can't see that I haven't modelled the distance. But that's fine. I mean, I'm surprised they've modelled any of it at all, so... No matter what happens to this town, we'll always have the view. True. It is a nice view. To be fair, it's a nice town. I wouldn't mind living here. I mean, maybe not under threat of Garlean rule, but... Is this kind of generic Imperial architecture then, or what? So as it says, we may have we may have recognition of where it is in related to Gimlet, but I don't really know where Gimlet is on the map. Maybe I should do. I've been separated from my family ever since I was forced into the army. I was able to sneak away in the confusion. I've got you and your friends to thank for that. My main concern is that Legatus Valens won't take this line down. Man is like a dog with a bone. Once he sinks his teeth in, he'll never let go. We'll be back. I'm sure of it. Awful lot of people with blue hair in this game. I will be carrying on with the story in a second. Just wanted to make sure that I've explored everything. This is where the triple triad go. Can we speak to him? A lot of us local conscripts have deserted the 7th Legion, but the rest of Terncliff isn't going to forget that we serve the Empire. At least not anytime soon. I assume we'll be able to get back here. They wouldn't have modelled this all out if there weren't a way. I must admit I envy your talents. Would that I possessed even a fraction of your skill. I could better serve Gaius. Yeah. I cannot help feeling there was a simpler way to defeat the weapon. Perhaps shooting it in the head with a large cannon would have sufficed? Probably, but that's not how Sid works. He just wanted to make a mech. You did well to pilot the warrior so adeptly in so short a time. Yeah, it only took me 3 goes. And with the weapon largely intact, Sid and his researchers should be able to gather a wealth of valuable information. Before it is dismantled, perhaps we should take one last look upon our fallen foe. And find out who was the pilot. Or perhaps get a cutscene with the other orphans. Ah! Echo! Rex. We should have known Father and his friends would track us down sooner or later. Now they're at our doorstep, and the Sapphire Weapon still isn't ready. Even so, it should still be able to fend them off, or at least buy us some time. So it wasn't at full strength. Not quite how I'd imagined it, but this seems as good a way to die as any. Rex, Recon, why are you still here? You're supposed to be moving the other weapons to a safe location. You could take care of that, while I pilot the Sapphire Weapon. What are you talking about? I'm the pilot, not you. There's no need to put your life on the line. Besides, it's still incomplete. Can barely perform basic maneuvers, so it'll be practically useless in a real fight. Oh, is that why he oversold it to start off with? Because basically it wasn't going to be any useful for anything. We have a solution. Oversoul. You want to end up like Melisandre? No, of course not. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But she didn't give her life in vain. The ruby weapon left behind data that's been used to improve the system, to prevent any further malfunctions. What difference does that make? Once Oversoul's activated and the pilot fuses with the core, there's no way back. That's why I should be the one to pilot the Sapphire Weapon, not you, Rex. Alphonse needs you. You and I both know I'm the least qualified pilot we have. There's less to lose if I don't make it back. No! I won't let you. Please, Rex. Hear me out. Ever since we were children, I was the smallest, the weakest, too afraid to stand up for myself. I had the best brothers and sisters a boy could wish for. You were always there for me, protected me. Now it's my turn to protect you. Take the other weapons and get out of here. See this through to the end. Do it for me, for Melisandre. I'm counting on you, Rex. Damn it with the sad music. There have been too many sad and emotional moments when this music has been playing for it to make me feel anything except... He always did have a stubborn streak. Alright, Recon. I won't let you down. Just promise you'll wait for me. On the other side. We'll meet again, brother. You all made me happier than I had any right to be. And now I've finally found my purpose. I have no regrets. Come on, Sapphire. We may be far from perfect, but we have a job to do. Let's give Father something to remember us by. The echo, I presume? What did it reveal to you? Recon. My poor boy. You were braver than most could ever hope to be. It's a cool colour as well. Hello, Sidmund. Sidislaw. It's as we feared. I'm sorry, Gaius. That was an interesting switch to that NPC. First Milisandia, now Rickon. We must find the remaining weapons and end this madness. Yeah, just that little shift to Voldemort or whatever his name was. Voulez what's it? Voulez-vous coucher? No. Valdolin! Him, yes. That's the wrong keyboard button. Tell me, what do you make of Gaius Balsar? I understand the two of you have been acquainted since his days as the Black Wolf. He claims to have shed his pelt when he took up the hunt for Ascians, but he's still the same man deep down. He certainly kept quiet about having a flock of foster children back in the Empire, though. It seems he would rather bare his teeth to his former masters than allow harm to come to them. Yet try as I might, I cannot make sense of it. Does he truly fight for the good of mankind as he would have us all believe? Was he merely biding his time before he reveals his true colours? Obvious foreshadowing is obvious. Whatever the answer may be, in the end he will always be a Garlean, and though there may be honourable men and women among them, I have suffered much more as a result of their conquest. Barbaric campaigns in which Gaius Balsar played no small part. Why do you follow him then? My first encounter with the Garleans was 20 years ago, shortly after the fall of Alamigo. They continued their march into the lands that had long been home to we Duskwights. We sought to repel the invaders, but we were woefully unprepared. Our bows and arrows were no match for their magitech, and even our most powerful magics did little to slow their advance. I fought on the front line, but was knocked unconscious in the opening exchange. When I came to, I was alone. The rest of my unit slaughtered. I hurried back to my village to look for my wife and daughter, only to find the place deserted. My search lasted for days, then weeks, then months, and it seemed they'd disappeared without a trace. I finally learned from two Imperials held at Bittermill that the villagers had been captured and used as test subjects for the poison gas that would later be known as Black Rose. They were never seen again. For 20 long years I roamed aimlessly with nothing but hatred to keep me alive. I eventually found myself at the order of the Twin Adder, who offered me a place among their ranks. The desire for revenge was the only thing I had left, so without a moment's hesitation I accepted. Were it not for the war with Golemold, I would have been loath to work alongside the city-dwelling Gridanians who for so long had treated my kind as outcasts. But none of that mattered anymore. It all culminated with Operation Archon. As you led the charge into the Praetorium, we were right behind you. And when the place came crumbling down, most of us were caught in the rubble. I escaped with my life. and many others were less fortunate. So he was there when Gaius crawled out. Yeah. Having dragged myself free from the rubble, I sought a way out. It was then I encountered none other than Gaius Balsar on the verge of death. The gods had delivered to me the man whose conquests have robbed me of everything. I was poised, ready to exact my revenge. And then he spoke. I will not beg for mercy. I only ask that you stay your hand a while longer. I cannot die until I have rid the world of the Ascian menace. For millennia, mankind has danced to their tune, but no more. Then, once we are finally free, my life is yours for the taking. So he follows Gaius because it's the only way I'll ever get to kill him. I would have struck him down there and then had I not sensed the truth in his words. So, I decided to grant him a stay of execution and join him on his hunt. All this time I've kept a close eye on Gaius. Though he's ever on the watch for pursuers, he granted me ample opportunity to slay him if I so choose. And I still might, if he shows even the slightest sign of betraying our agreement. But for now, the Ascians are my chosen quarry. If they are indeed the ones pulling the Empire's strings, then it shall not end until they have been eradicated, every last one. Though I could not save my kin, there are those who may yet be spared the horrors of war. Unfortunately, dealing with the Ascians will have to wait until we've brought an end to Garlemald's weapon project. Though we may have vanquished 2 of the new weapons, we must make every effort to prepare for whatever the Garleans throw at us next. Perhaps Severa could tell us whether the Ironworks engineers have uncovered any information of note? I say. The Ironworks engineers are still at work dismantling the Sapphire Weapon and investigating the Terncliff Magitech facility. Though they have yet to make their report, they may have some news to share at this juncture. Please wait here a moment. We've yet to finish our investigation, but I can give you a preliminary report. Were you able to recover anything of note? Before abandoning the facility, they'd attempted to destroy anything they couldn't take with them, including many of their research materials. Luckily, some information relating to the Sapphire Weapon's combat data was intact. Judging by what we saw during the battle, it was extracted from regular Van Hydrus, correct? It also appears that the Sapphire Weapon was actually in an incomplete state, and therefore unable to perform at full capacity. Even so, it was immensely powerful. Had they been given the chance to finish it before we'd arrived, who knows how it would have ended. Indeed. We may not be so fortunate next time, so we must prepare for the worst. The Ironworks will continue to investigate the Sapphire Weapon and look into possible countermeasures. The Echo afforded you a glimpse into the conversation between Rickon and Rex prior to the weapon's deployment. Do you remember any other details? Nod. It's a good job my character in game does, because I don't. Improvements were made to the synthetic oversight system to prevent malfunctions, and it was never their intent to create a manifestation of Nell Vandanus. But there's one thing that was intended. Oversoul. Its activation results in the pilot being absorbed by the core, killing them in the process. Rex and Rickon were fully aware of this, were they not? Yarp. Then the death of the pilot was by design all along. Alphonse, how could you? Sacrificing your own siblings to fuel these accursed war machines. He volunteered, though. Surely there is no cause worth paying such a price. Aye, nothing is more precious than family. This nightmare is far from over. It appears that Rex has fled with the remaining weapons, and we can assume that Alphonse has every intention of sending them into battle. We must find a way to disable them before Oversoul can be activated. I've seen enough death. I do not wish to see any more. Then there is no time to waste. Let's be about it, Gaius. Severin, you're in charge here. Keep Sid and his team safe while they carry out the investigation. Understood. Please see that no harm comes to Gaius. I wonder whether we'll get some information about her at some point. Or did we get some in the Ruby Weapon stuff? While we're gone, I need you to relay everything to the Resistance troops. Your first-hand account should prove useful. If there are any developments, we'll be sure to contact you. A lifetime of carefully honed neck muscles. Alphonse, I will find you wherever you are. If the other weapons have been moved elsewhere, the locals must have seen the direction in which they've headed. At this stage, any information at all would be better than what we have now, which is next to nothing. Yeah. Very interesting indeed. Welcome back. It sounds like you've been on quite the journey. All the way to Terncliff. And judging by the fact you made it back here in one piece, I trust everything went according to plan. What an astonishing account. I wouldn't mind putting that warrior through its paces myself. Certainly a lot more stimulating than supervising this rabble, I'd imagine. Anyway, as before, I'll compile the information into report and leave it over there for your perusal should you feel so inclined. I've forgotten that that was a thing. If we hear anything from HQ, we'll be sure to pass it on. Sapphire Weapon Bust. The chest of this garland ironwork scale replica of a select portion of the Sapphire Weapon glows ominously. Accept no substitutes. What did I do with my one for the Ruby Weapon? I don't know. Meanwhile, in the 7th Legion's Werlyt headquarters. Sweaty. Ooh, that texture. What is going on there? I've come to deliver my port, Lord Valens. Ew. Valens van Varro. Ah, so you have returned, young Alfred, or was it Ulwick? Not that it really matters, of course. I hear that you and your darling brothers and sisters have allowed the Sapphire Weapon to fall into the hands of the enemy. Do tell me it isn't so. I'm afraid that is the case, Lord Valens. Oh, come now. No need to be so sullen. As they say, to err is human, to forgive divine. And you know how forgiving I can be. And it suits me. Pouring. Milk. So tell me, whatever your name is, who was able to best the Sapphire Weapon? Our sources state that the one known as the Warrior of Light was assisted by Sid Garland and Gaius van Baelsar, my lord. Gaius. Yes, it seems he's been quite the troublemaker of late. Defecting from Garlemald, assassinating the Emperor. They still think he did that. Whatever next? Oh well, there's no use crying over spilled milk. I much prefer drinking it. Speaking of which, I've become quite the connoisseur since arriving in Werlyt. This particular variety comes from a rare breed of cow, you know. Only 100 of them in existence and pampered every day of their lives. Yes, they're quite valuable. Until their milk dries up, that is. When it does, they're sent to the slaughterhouse like all the rest, for that is their lot in life. To be discarded, once they have served their purpose. Did I create the ruby and sapphire weapons so that you could deliver them gift-wrapped to the enemy? I can see it now. Sid Nangarlan rubbing his hands with glee at the technological marvels we've bestowed upon him. And you let Gaius Van Belso, of all people, get the better of you. How do you think this reflects on me? The legatus of the 7th Legion, humiliated by that traitor. Humiliated, I say. There's only one way to deal with worthless provincial filth like you. Wait for me in the correction chamber. You need to be taught a lesson in obedience. Yes, my lord. So, milk drinking guy's an asshole. Surprise! Forgive my intrusion, Lord Valens, but it's time for your meeting with the head of Magitech Development. Oh, how time flies when you're whipping useless soldiers into shape. Yes, I'll be along once I've made myself presentable. Can't have people thinking I've let my standards slip now, can I? Oh. They've deliberately kept his face in shadow. What are you doing here? You wish to see me, Lord Valens? Did I now? Ah, yes, that's right. So you're Ali, yes? Did you join the military of your own free will along with your fellow orphans? Such devotion. What an inspiration you are. You see, it is my firm belief that love grants us the power to move mountains, to overcome any obstacle. Together, we shall discover the strength that lies within you. Take my hand, child. I will show you the way. She's really small. Okay. I say. Well, there we have it, folks. That was the Sapphire Weapon. That was very entertaining. The story is... it's decent. It's a little bit... it's a little bit kind of Saturday morning cartoon. if you know what I mean. It's got a little bit kind of melodrama, a little bit of moustache-twirling villain. Not entirely sure what the milk drinking thing is about. Clearly they needed to give him a personality quirk. So they thought, let's make him drink something odd. Or maybe it's a reference to something that I haven't put together. They definitely kept the guy's face in shadows for a reason. He looked elven. He looked Ellison, rather. It's Ellison in this, isn't it? But of course, all of the kind of true blood Garleans do, apart from Sid, for some reason, because he's got his own model. Most of the pure Garleans are Ellison models with human heads, which always struck me as a bit of an odd choice. But, you know. But yeah, I mean, that was good. It was fun. It was fun. And that's what's important in a video game. Did you have fun? It doesn't necessarily need to be the best writing in the world. You know, there's a lot of people out there will complain when writing is not up to their standards. You know, there's a lot of critique from people that think that they can write well. And writing well is a challenge. I'm not going to go on about writing in this video, though, because I'm going to go and play some more video games. So there we go. That was... Let's have some more dancing, just because I really like this dance emote. Yeah, I was really surprised that it wasn't a trial. I'm guessing because we had a trial and a dungeon and a raid this patch. Next patch will be the climax of Eden and another dungeon. And I'm assuming a probably Emerald Weapon trial, I would guess. But who knows? I mean, I don't know how much their schedule has been thrown out by the pandemic. They've tried to downplay a lot of it. But I've already seen some people... They posted on Twitter the other day, you know, an appreciation post. And there was one reply that I saw just go into town about, oh, the game's getting worse and worse. We're getting less and less stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Bad, bad, bad. And they brought up the 2.0 patch schedule, which the devs have already gone on record saying was unsustainable. And they only worked so hard on that because they were trying desperately to get people back on board and make up for the disaster that was 1.0 through 1.23. And then they started cutting out things like the hard mode trials and stuff because A, it's a lot of work, and B, people just weren't doing them as much. And as I think the developers of World of Warcraft are finding out and have found out over the last few years, if only 5% of people are seeing your content, then it's not necessarily content that's worth spending a huge amount of time on. Like it or not, MMOs are supported via the casual player base. People that aren't necessarily hardcore raiders. Yes, your game might get a reputation for being the game with the good raids, like WoW was. But it's an awful lot of content to be made that a small percentage will care about seeing, which is why they've got stuff like Raid Finder, which is why Final Fantasy XIV has got the story modes. You know, you can refer to people as casuals, or even filthy casuals if you're that kind of asshole, as much as you want. But at the end of the day, they have a right to see the story in WoW's case, not in WoW's case, in FF14's case, and to an extent in WoW's case. I mean, a lot of the end game raids have got story attached, and they tend to be the culmination of the plot in that particular patch or expansion or whatever. So I think it is only fair that there are accessible versions of raids that people can do. I don't even remember how I got onto this little mini rant. Don't know. But I'm going to carry on with it. So yeah, we've got our normal modes and we've got our savage modes, and I think that's perfectly acceptable. Oh yeah, I was talking about cut content, wasn't I? So yeah, this guy was ranting about how, oh yeah, the game's going downhill and we're getting less and less and less each patch. We're not. We are getting a greater variety of things. It might not be the things that they wanted, more dungeons, more raids, more trials, but we've had a Realm Reborn revamp. We've had a load of stuff for crafting and gathering. We've had the Ishgardian restoration. We've had new bits and pieces added for various world events. We've had story duties. We've had one of the best stories presented, well, probably the best story ever presented in an MMO, tied up in this patch. Have we had fewer dungeons? Yeah. Have, in my opinion, the dungeons been better because there have been fewer to work with? Yeah, kinda. If you remember, if you've been winning the game a long time and you were here when they were doing, you know, a story dungeon and 2 hard mode dungeons or whatever, or a story dungeon and 1 hard mode dungeon, you will invariably remember that one of the 2 was always much faster and much more fun, and therefore people absolutely dreaded getting the other in the roulette. Whereas now, if you're only getting 1, they can make sure they are all nicely paced, that they all match up reasonably well with each other. And in the, you know, the, what is it, the extreme roulette? I can't even remember what it's called now. Expert roulette. Shows how often I do the expert roulette, doesn't it? You know, you've only got a pool of 2 to draw from. You know, at the moment, I'm assuming it's Academia Anida and the Hero's Gauntlet as your 2 options. And both dungeons are good. And as far as I'm aware, neither dungeon is substantially longer than the others. I don't know. Maybe I am. Well, no, there's no maybe about it. I am as many people would no doubt disparagingly say, a filthy casual. I don't do savage raiding. I don't care about savage raiding. I am playing this game for the story. And, you know, the other stuff that we do. Am I a member of a free company? Yes. No offense to any of the guys in there. I don't know any of them. I haven't spoken to any of them. I've been a member of this free company for 6 years now? 7 years? Something like that. I joined it not long after, you know, starting the game in A Realm Reborn, as far as I can remember. I can count on 2 hands the number of conversations I've had with people in it. Which, you know, that's me being an antisocial git. It's no shade thrown at them. I'm sure they're all very nice people, enjoying playing the game and working together and, you know, this, that, and the other. That's not what I'm here for. I mean, at the end of the day, I suppose I'm just sponging their buffs off. I do occasionally leave some stuff in the company chest and so on and so forth that I don't need. But I'm not... I guess I'm not a team player in that sense. Don't know. Like the background fading into the fog there as the weather changes. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm done with my rant, which has probably extended the life of this video. Sorry about that. Well done if you stuck it out to the end. I'll timestamp that, so. I do like this dance emote. It's very good. The sorrow of Werlyt Act 2 complete. Catch you all at some point for Act 3. I think I'm done with FF14 videos for a while. I think I've done all the content that I normally record in this patch. The other new stuff was the Dwarven crafting beast tribe quests. I don't have a crafter high enough. But I probably should have a crack at raising a crafter up, because it's something that I've barely touched since Heaven's Ward. What actually my crafter's at? I think my highest is... Yeah, see, I've got Goldsmith, Weaver, Alchemist, and Culinarian over 50. But that's it. It's just never been my thing. But they've massively changed it. I have done a lot of desynthesis, apparently. Why do I not have desynthesis skill on blacksmith? Or leatherworker? Don't know. But yeah, I feel like I should maybe do some more of that. Until next time, folks, thank you very much for joining me in this series of patch 5.3 videos. Hope you have enjoyed them. Hope you are enjoying the patch. Hope you are continuing to enjoy playing the game. I don't play it all that much outside of the big patches, but it's fun to come back to just when I want to do some more stuff in this game with its great music and great visuals and compelling characters. Until next time, stay safe out there. Cheerio. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not click the like button and consider subscribing. Remember, you can ring the bell notification icon to get notified when new videos go live. And until next time, cheerio.